Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, owner and creator of the DAN Show, and welcome to my latest 2022 NFL preview video. Today, I'm going to preview the Dallas Cowboys. Now, if this is your first time here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Join the growing community of football junkies and fans of all 32 fan bases. So here's how my videos work. First, I give you 3 things I like about the Dallas Cowboys. Then I give you 3 things I don't like about the Dallas Cowboys. Then I break down the schedule. I go over the yearly win total odds. And at the very end, I reveal if I'm going to put action down on the Dallas Cowboys. So let's kick this off. 3 things I like about the Dallas Cowboys. First thing I like about the Dallas Cowboys is their offensive skill position talent. Dallas led the NFL in scoring offense last year, something I'm going to bring up again. And since Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys, he's always had a very high priority on having a elite offensive skill position group. Look at your wide receivers. You have CeeDee Lamb. He looks like he's going to be a perennial Pro Bowler. Michael Gallup, and it looks like a third-round pick, Jalen Tolbert's going to be that third wide receiver. This is a guy with lots of upside in his own right. And then you also have an underrated tight end in Dalton Schultz, 78 receptions, 808 yards, and 8 touchdowns last year. I've seen tight ends with worse numbers make the Pro Bowl. Tony Pollard's a really good running back here, a very underrated player, but 5.5 yards a carry plus 8.6 yards a reception. You put him with Ezekiel Elliott, you have one of the best 1-2 combos in the National Football League. And I haven't even talked about Dak Prescott yet. I thought last year was his best year with the Dallas Cowboys. He had career highs in touchdown passes, 37 touchdown passes, and his completion percentage career high, 68.8% complete. Whether you think Prescott's last year was his best year or not is up to debate. But one thing that even if you're not a Cowboys fan, you have to admit is that their skill position talent is elite. The second thing I like about Dallas Cowboys is they have Dan Quinn staying as defensive coordinator. Now, I'll be honest, I wasn't sure Dan Quinn would work out as defensive coordinator, but he did an A-plus job last year with the Cowboys, and he did interview for several open head coaching positions. Now, Dan Quinn's loss is Dallas Cowboys' gain because he stays around as defensive coordinator. And you combine Dan Quinn staying around with the third thing I like about Dallas Cowboys is that they have a lot of young, talented players on defense. When you have the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL, you really don't need a top 5 defense, but you do want to do 2 things. You want to pressure the quarterback and create turnovers, and that's something the Cowboys were able to do last year. Dallas led the league in interceptions. Of course, Trayvon Diggs had 11 of them, which it's been a long time since I've seen a corner have 11 interceptions. And then rookie Micah Parsons led the team with 13 sacks. Now the defense I'm using Our Lads and ESPN depth charts. It looks like Dallas is going to start the 2022 season with 4 starters from the last 2 drafts. And you also got several young players from these 2 draft classes are going to contribute. And they also have Sam Williams, who's going to play probably quite a bit this year, but I don't know if he's going to start or in a position to start, but it wouldn't surprise me if sometime this year Sam Williams becomes a starter. And bottom line, when you have a lot of youth, keeping continuity together is really key. You keep them in the same system, you keep them growing. There's a very good possibility that this defense could even improve off last year's. And keep in mind, Dan Quinn could leave in 2023, but for him staying in 2022, the youth that Dallas has on defense is key, especially when the Cowboys are set up. They really don't need an elite defense. They need to just do what they have been doing. Just to recap the 3 things I like about the Dallas Cowboys, I like the skill position talent, I like the Dan Quinn stand, and I like the young, talented defense that he returns to in 2022. Now, 3 things I don't like about the Dallas Cowboys. Number 1 thing I don't like about Dallas Cowboys is the hype. Every year, the Cowboys are a media and fan favorite to win a Super Bowl. Now, it's been over 25 years since they've been to a Super Bowl, but they're always hyped up by the media and by their fans as a Super Bowl contender, whether it's legitimate or not legitimate. Bottom line, it causes a lot of unrealistic expectations and a lot of undue pressure. Mike McCarthy could go 14-3, lose the NFC Championship, and get fired. And that's kind of goes hand in hand with the second thing I don't like about the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm not a fan of the way their organization and team is run. This goes hand in hand with the hype regarding the Cowboys. Now, is the Cowboys the NFL's most successful financial franchise? Answer is yes. I think the Cowboys are valued at over $6 billion, which is the tops in the NFL. And I'm not questioning Jerry Jones's business acumen at all, but I've always believed that Jimmy Johnson was more responsible for the Super Bowl wins than Jerry Jones. And I mentioned that Mike McCarthy could go 14-3 this year and still get fired. Well, a lot of that has to do with hype and rumors that Sean Payton's going to take over in 2023. This is the only NFL team where the head coach is treated more like middle management than treated as the leader of the team. So I think a combination of the owner who's going to interfere too much and a combination of McCarthy. I'm not really sold on Mike McCarthy. I don't think that these two together has the necessary tools it takes for the Cowboys to win a Super Bowl, which is what all the hype has them doing. You basically have an attitude with this organization that's Super Bowl or bust, and I don't see a team that's capable of winning a Super Bowl, especially when you consider the third thing I don't like about the Cowboys, and that is lots of penalties. When they played San Francisco in the playoffs last year, I think they had a more talented team, but they lost, and part of that was that they had 14 penalties in the game. And is penalties the sole reason they lost the game? I don't think so, but it's really hard to win in the playoffs when you play that sloppy. And with the hype surrounding the Cowboys being Super Bowl or bust and an owner who interferes too much, I don't see this as being an issue being resolved this year. As I'm making this video, the Cowboys just concluded their first preseason game, and they had 17 penalties in that game. Bottom line, when you're as hyped up as the Cowboys are, and you have an organization run the way it is, and I'm including Mike McCarthy in there, penalties are going to be an issue all season long, and it's an indicator that you're going to have mistakes and sloppiness. And unfortunately, I don't think that you're going to be able to get to that Super Bowl that you're really trying to get to. If you didn't notice, I didn't mention any weaknesses on the actual team or players, or I didn't mention I didn't like, they don't, for example, a pass rush. This is the only team that things I mentioned I didn't like are things really kind of outside the talent of the actual team itself. Really, the only problems I see with the Cowboys are just hype and organizational. And I think ultimately they have a structure that's going to create an undisciplined team. And that's going to cause, in my opinion, for them not to meet their expectations. Now, let's break down the Cowboys' schedule. The Cowboys open up with 2 straight home games, but they're against 2 really tough opponents. Then they get 3 of their next 4 games are on the road. And after that, you get 2 very winnable home games before the bye. Now, I think that they could easily win those 2 home games before the bye. And what I'm looking at in the first 4 games is I'm really hoping to go 2-2 here. And I'm going to circle these 2 games at LA and at Philly, and I'm going to come back to them later. After the bye, Dallas travels to Green Bay, but while Dallas has a bye, Green Bay actually travels to Detroit week 9, so you get a nice advantage there for the Dallas Cowboys. Another neat advantage is that week 12 they play Thanksgiving before they host the Cowboys week 13. Well, week 12 the Colts play on Monday night, so you're going to get 4 days extra rest before you host the Indianapolis Colts. That's a really big advantage. Then 2 out of the next 3 games are at home before you end the season with road games at Tennessee and at Washington. And when I'm looking at figuring out wins for the Cowboys, let's say you split the 2 road games, and then you got those 3 home games. I'm realistically hoping, especially if I'm a Cowboys fan, I can win at least 2 of them. That gets you 3 wins after the bye. And what I'm looking at here is at Jacksonville and at Washington. I'm looking at those 2 games being wins. So that gets you to 5. And I'm going to circle the Eagles and at Tennessee because as of right now, I am at 9 wins, and I got 2 questions for you. If you want to put action on the Cowboys, is what do you see with hosting Philly week 16 and at Tennessee? Can you get 1 win there? And then the before mentioned road games in October against the Rams and at Philly, that's question number 2. Can you get 1 win there? Because I got you to 9 before those 4 games. And here's the thing. If you can't win any of them, 9 is really iffy to make the playoffs. It's not impossible. You could be 9-8 and make the playoffs in the NFC. But the yearly win total odds is currently 10.5, and this was at 10, but both Caesars and Barstool has 10.5. You may be able to find 10 somewhere. There is always heavy action on the Cowboys. So I always say the same thing every year if you're going to bet the yearly win total odds with the Dallas Cowboys. If you like to over, bet them early, and you're taking a chance because you don't want to risk injury. But if you like the under, you want to wait as long as you possibly can. I'm not even going to post the numbers now because the Dallas Cowboys, almost more than any other team, is going to have a lot of action placed on them. And so these numbers are going to fluctuate before the season starts. But if you like the over, you may be able to find 10 somewhere, put action on 10. You could have gotten it before now, but if you like to under, wait as long as you can and take under 10.5. And that's the number I like. I like under 10.5. And I'm on the fence of whether I'm going to put action down on the Dallas Cowboys or not. Talent-wise, I think this is a team that can easily win 12 games. Just talent-wise, they can win 12 games again. But I also firmly believe that this is a team that's really going to disappoint their fans. So if I do put action down on the Cowboys, it might be the Sunday right before kickoff that I put that under 10.5 bet because I'm going to get a much better number between now and when the season starts, unless there's injuries, and then everything's subject to change. But again, I think that this is a team that's going to disappoint, and that's my opinion. But I really want to hear from you. What do you think? Drop a comment below. Let's talk football. Now, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Like the video, give me a thumbs up. Even if you're a Cowboys fan and don't like it, give me a thumbs up anyway. And ring the bell. That way you're notified every time I come out with a new video. Tomorrow, I'm going to break down the Buffalo Bills. So I will see you tomorrow.